Hi everyone, welcome to Total Shift Yoga and Sound Bath. My name is Kat. Today I have some tips for you on a happy low body. So if you are a runner, a walker, a sitter, a stander, a human being, this is going to be helpful for you. The good news is that you don't need anything for this class, but if you have it, you might want to grab 2 blocks and a strap. Otherwise, I'll meet you on the mat. Let's get started on your back. So go ahead and lay down and get really comfortable here. The good news about this practice is that we're going to stay pretty close to the mat today, so not a whole lot on our feet. So the soles of the feet are glued to the mat, and let's widen them so that they're about mat width distance apart. Okay, so keeping the feet exactly as they are, just start to make little windshield wiper motions with the knees. So the feet stay glued to the ground, and the knees are just rocking back and forth, left and right. Good, and just kind of noticing where things are today, noticing the sensations. And the next time the legs fall to the right, let's leave them there. Kind of like a broken windshield wiper. They're stuck. So you might notice that the left sitting bone is kind of starting to peel off the earth. If that's the case, see if you can find that sense of gravity. Maybe even take your left hand and lightly place it on top of your left hip, just to encourage a little bit of weight in that space. And hopefully we start to feel just a little bit of sensation along the outside of the left thigh, this IT band that can be so stubborn. Just taking some deep breaths in and out through the nose. Nice and easy. No need to really crank yourself into this one. We want to get started gently today. And then when you're ready, the knees come back to center on an inhale. And then exhale, let them fall over to the other side. Nice and easy. Again, taking note of this right sitting bone. If it's peeling off the mat, maybe just place the right hand on top of the hip just to encourage that sense of gravity, just a little bit of weight in that space. Being gentle with yourself. Not pushing too hard. Good, and then inhale brings the knees back to center. Let's make sure that both feet are glued to the ground, about hip width distance apart. Stamp the left foot down as you kick the right heel up towards the sky. You're going to interlace your fingers, your hands behind the right thigh. Just kicking the heel towards the ceiling. And this is the place where if you have a strap, if you're using one today, you can loop that around the big toe mound of your right foot and grab on either side. But interlacing the hands behind the thigh works just fine. You can leave a light bend in the right knee, especially if you're really feeling this intensely in the hamstring here. Now look at your toes and allow yourself to get really curious about them. Maybe wiggle them. Maybe see how far apart you can spread them. Maybe find some circles with the ankle in one direction, and then slow down and go the other way. Maybe a couple of points and flexes of the foot, all the while making sure that the hips stay really heavy on the ground. Another option is to lengthen the left leg long on the mat, so you find a little bit more length there. Totally up to you. Now we kind of get a 2-in-1 here, so just make sure that you do both of these on the other side. From here, you'll release the clasp of the hands behind the thigh and cross the right ankle over the left knee, so we have this figure 4 shape in the legs. Good. We want to make sure that we keep a light flex in the right toes just to protect the right knee. And you can use the right hand to gently push against the right thigh. And that might already be quite a bit of sensation. That might be enough. But if you're looking for a little bit more, reach through, thread the needle, lift the left foot, Interlace the hands behind the back of the left thigh and pull the entire structure of your low body towards your chest. You can use this right elbow to kind of push against the right thigh. And just taking big breaths in and out through the nose. Now, if your shoulders are scrunched up towards your ears and you feel like the top of your head is on the mat, then don't hesitate to slide a pillow or a blanket underneath the back of your head. You want to make this as comfortable as possible. See if you can relax the shoulders. Relax the neck. Relax the muscles in the face. As you breathe deeply into the outer right hip here. And then gently let go of the clasp behind the thigh. Let the feet return to the ground. And then move to the other side. So now making our way to downward facing dog, making sure that we're really rooting down through the index finger and the thumb, the place where those 2 points meet. Thinking about turning the triceps in towards the body. Finding a light bend in the knees so that we can really think about pulling the chest towards the thighs. Pulling up on the kneecaps to engage the quads. Finding length all along the back chain of the body. Good. Now, if downward facing dog is not your jam, tabletop works totally fine. When you're ready and on an inhale, start to bring your right foot in between your two hands. Good. And if it doesn't reach in between the two hands, you can simply just grab the ankle and put it there. Okay? So now we're in this dragon pose. Okay? So you can untuck the back toes. We're in this deep lunge. And our two hands are framing the right foot. The front knee is on top of the front ankle. And we allow ourselves to really feel the weight of our hips here. And this is a place where if you have a couple of blocks or some books or some pillows, it can be really nice to elevate the hands here. So I'm going to do that. And these handy dandy blocks, but honestly, you do not need these. Lots of modifications, lots of different options for this pose. So a stack of books underneath your hands is lovely. You can even stack your shoulders on top of your hips and rest your hands on your thigh. That also works well. It is totally up to you, your preference, your practice. And the magic in this pose is really in the amount of time that you allow yourself to stay here. Allowing yourself to really feel the sensation, become friendly with the sensation in the top of the left thigh, these hip flexor muscles that we don't get to very often. They're pretty stubborn. So if you're feeling some intensity there, know that that's a good thing. Breathe into that space. Know that this is temporary. We won't be here for terribly long. One more deep breath in. And a full breath out. Good. Now this is the last deep breath in. And then exhale for a half split. So start to kick back as you straighten this front leg and send your hips over your back knee. So you might need to wiggle the front foot forward just a little bit so that you can flex the toes back towards your face and still have this alignment of hip on top of knee in the back. This will help for stability. If you have the blocks under your hands, move them back so that they're underneath your shoulders. Maybe keep a little bend in this front knee. Totally fine. As you inhale, just find a half lift as you think about pulling your chest up and even towards your toes. Nice long spine. And then exhale, allow your chin to melt towards your chest. Let's take a couple of those. Inhale, half lift, pull the chest, the heart space forward. And then exhale, allow yourself to melt. Last one, inhale, find length. And then exhale, melt. And then when you're ready, begin to rebend the front knee. Set the blocks aside, or maybe keep them under your hands, your choice. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, and send your right foot back to downward facing dog. Let that feel really good. Notice the difference between the left and right side. And then when you're ready, find balance and do the same thing on the other side. Now that you've made your way back to downward facing dog, take a deep inhale and a full exhale. Think about sending your hips a little bit higher towards the sky. Good. And then when you're ready, step your right foot forward just about halfway in between the left foot and the hands. And then turn the back heel in slightly so that the entire foot can rest on the ground. So it's just in at a slight angle here. Good. So just right here, you probably already feel quite a bit of sensation in the right hamstring calf area. We're going to just work off of that. Now, if elevation underneath the hands is something that interests you, then by all means, go ahead and take that. We want to think about wrapping this right thigh outwards. In other words, think about pulling the inner thigh towards your face just a little bit. Good. And then when you're ready, gently bend the left knee in the same direction as the left toes as you start to flex the right toes up towards your face. Feels a little weird at first, but we're really allowing ourselves to get into pretty much everything, right? So the hamstring, intensely the hamstring on the right side, the calf on the right side, even the Achilles on the left side a little bit. Making sure, again, it's worth saying twice, that the left knee is bending in the same direction that the toes are pointing. Good. Inhale brings you back to center. Step the left foot forward to meet the right, and then step the right foot back, just moving straight into the other side. So now the right foot is angled slightly out to the right side. We find this pyramid shape. Again, thinking about wrapping this left thigh out slightly. We're bringing the inner thigh towards your face just a little bit. And then when you're ready, slowly start to bend the right knee so that it's pointing in the same direction as the toes as you peel the left toes off the mat, flexing them towards the knee. It really doesn't take much here in order to feel a whole lot. So be kind to yourself. Keep the breaths nice and full, in and out through the nose. Good. And when you're ready, straighten the right leg. Bring the hands forward again. Step back to downward facing dog. So come to a Virasana shape or hero's pose. We're sitting on the heels. Another option for sitting on the heels is to take a pillow, a blanket, blocks, whatever it is that you have. You can slide it underneath the sitting bones to elevate the sitting bones just a little bit. Okay, it's just another option. So this might already feel like a lot on the quads. If that's the case, you can stay exactly as you are. If you're wanting a little bit more, you can come back onto your fingertips behind you, keeping the chest lifting up towards the sky. Good. Press into your fingertips and lift the hips slightly and just very, very lightly tuck the tailbone just a little bit and then come back down. Good. And this is where we stay, right? So if you want a little bit more, maybe come to your palms. If you're sitting on anything, this is as far as you go. But if you don't have anything underneath your sitting bones and you'd like to go a little further, perhaps you decide to come down to your forearms. Just listening to your hamstrings, not your hamstrings, but your quads. Listening to your quads, listening to your knees. Breathing deeply. And when you're ready, one at a time, just start to press into your hands as you bring yourself forward. Come into your tabletop pose and just extend one leg back, maybe rock forward and back, and then the other, just finding some fresh blood flow in the knees. Good. And then bring the big toes together, knees come apart. Setting up for child's pose, send your hips back towards your heels and allow the chest and the heart space to melt down towards the earth. Letting the forearms be nice and heavy. An alternative option is to come into rock pose or embryo pose, so you can bring the knees together to touch as well. Allow the spine to curve over the thighs. Rest the forehead, and the arms can come down by your sides, palms facing up next to your feet. Just enjoying this decompression of the spine, slight stretching, slight lengthening of the quads. Now, when you're done with your practice, make sure that you take the time for the most important posture, Shavasana. So allow yourself to come down to your back, so that you are taking the time to get really comfortable, spreading the legs out nice and long. Now, if this is pulling in the low back at all, tight hamstrings, it's totally normal. Maybe just prop up your knees underneath some blocks or a pillow. Maybe press into the back of the head and the elbows so that one at a time you can walk your shoulder blades underneath the body to find more space that you can take up with the hands, the arms. Close your eyes. Soften the muscles in your scalp and your forehead, the muscles in your face, your shoulders, your hips. Let go of the controlled breath. And let yourself just enjoy these sounds for the next 2 minutes. Shavasana. Thanks so much for joining us today. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like this video and comment below, and then take a second to subscribe to this channel. My name's Kat from Total Shift Yoga and Sound Bath,